Ms. Lucia Phillip, Executive Director of NALIS, Ms. Joan Osborne, Deputy Executive Director and Chair of the Trinidad and Tobago Memory of the World Committee of the National Commission for UNESCO, Dr. Chris Rampersad, Chair, Trinidad and Tobago National Commission for UNESCO, and Ms. Susan Sherland, Secretary General, Mr. Vitor Manuel Marquez de Fonseca, President of MOE Committee, and other MOE Committee members, Mr. Guilherme Canela Godoy, Secretary of MOLAC and UNESCO Advisor in Communication and Information for Mercosur and Chile, Ambassador Brigadier John Sandy, Permanent Representative to Geneva, and Ambassador Dennis Francis, Director of Multilateral Relations in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, members of the management team of NALIS, Ms. Claudia Defoe, Deputy Campus Librarian, Alma Jordan Library of the University of the West Indies, staff of the Trinidad and Tobago National Commission for UNESCO, staff of NALIS, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, members of the media. A very pleasant good morning and buenos dias to each and every one of you here today. And to the foreign delegates and officials, I say welcome to our beautiful country, Trinidad and Tobago. It is said that a civilization is a heritage of beliefs, customs, and knowledge, slowly accumulated in the course of centuries. Elements difficult at times to justify by logic, but justifying themselves as paths when they lead somewhere, since they open up for mankind our inner distance and thus our ultimate potential and promise. This is a philosophy that applies to all peoples of the world, and more than ever, it is one which shall determine our future progress as individual nations and one united regional family in this age of globalization, where we find that as more and more we evolve through forces beyond our control into a global village, in that single family of humanity, it becomes our responsibility to bring friendship and love from all different places around the world and to live together in peace. For this reason, this year's regional meeting of the UNESCO's Memory of the World Committee for Latin America and the Caribbean is of special significance. And history will remember us and indeed judge us on our decisions and resolutions at this conference. This because now, more than ever, as countries so much bigger than us threaten to dominate the world economy and global culture, it is incumbent on our nations to assert our own individualistic heritage to the world and ensure that we too are recognized as equals in terms of our history and culture, as equals. UNESCO has been very instrumental in preserving the welfare, culture, and importance of individual nations and indeed individuals themselves, having designated days and seasons to commemorate and give global recognition to not only our national heritage, but the human beings amongst us who are often discriminated against because they are children, women, or some other element of perceived minority. As such, as domestic and regional ambassadors of UNESCO's great noble work, our job here today assumes, as I said before, an even more significant status. As you all would know, the Memory of the World program is perhaps one of UNESCO's most innovative in its history of innovation, which was established in 1992 and governed by the underlying concept that the world's documentary heritage belongs to the universe and thus must be fully preserved and protected for all. And with all due respect for cultural habits and practices, must be accessible for all in an ongoing, unhindered manner. The mission of this program is therefore to raise consciousness and enhance protection of the world's documentary heritage and make it universally, lastingly accessible. And the Memory of the World Program Committee for Latin America and the Caribbean was formed by a mandate from UNESCO with the objective to promote the program in the region. Today, as I mentioned before, this mandate and mission is more significant as we seek to preserve our heritage for posterity and for our younger generations who are under threat of losing their knowledge and pride of the past to the forces of globalization. Indeed, this conference here today has a great history, having had its constituent meeting in Mexico back in 2000, where the established functions of the committee were specifically, these are the functions, to advise the Secretariat of UNESCO and the International Committee of the Memory of the World Program in the execution of the directives of the program to the region or in the region, to promote and diffuse the Memory of the World Program in Latin America and the Caribbean, to stimulate the creation of national committees in each country of the region and monitor their activities, to formulate regional projects, propel national projects, and support the management of funds for their execution, to create, propel, and promote registers in Latin America and the Caribbean, to promote and monitor the national register or the national registers in the region, to formulate recommendations on management and mobilization of funds and its assignment to projects in the region, and to promote the nomination of documentary heritage in the World Register of the program. To this end, the committee, as I understand, is composed of 9 members appointed based on their personal merits through consigned recommendations by the program coordinator and by the corresponding advisor of communication and information based on proposals received from the respective UNESCO national commissions. And these members meet annually, as you are meeting here today, with the objectives of evaluating nominations of documentary heritage from across the region for inscription on the Regional Memory of the World Register for Latin America and the Caribbean, formulating regional projects, propelling national projects, and monitoring the activities of the National Memory of the World committees. I must say that for the past 12 years, this committee has aptly lived up to its mandate of preserving our nation's and region's documentary heritage. Since I'm advised to date, there are 36 collections of documentary heritage inscribed on the International Register from 26 countries in Latin America and the Caribbean. And forgive my bias, but as president of the Trinidad and Tobago National Commission for UNESCO, I and my government of the People's Partnership and the people of Trinidad and Tobago, we are extremely proud to say that Trinidad and Tobago has the second largest number of collections on the International Register from the Latin America and the Caribbean region, a total of 6. And the 6 are namely the Derek Walcott collection, the Eric Williams collection, the CLR James collection, the Registry of Slaves of the British Caribbean, 1817 to 1834, the Constantine collection, that's Lord Larry Constantine, and the records of the Indian indented laborers of Trinidad and Tobago, 1845 to 1917, just alluded to by the chair of UNESCO Trinidad. These collections are housed at the National Library, the National Archives, and at the University of the West Indies, St. Augustine. And I myself, as a visitor, but not a member of staff of the University of the West Indies, used to visit the Eric Williams collection at the University of the West Indies, which was vast, or which is vast. And I'm sure that you all will find time over the next 2 days to peruse this vast collection of the 6 collections that we have, and give us your scholarly and incisive feedback and suggestions for improvement and expansion. And our directors of NALIS are here, and I'm sure they would appreciate your wisdom and your feedback on these Memory of the World's collection, the 6 that we have in Trinidad and Tobago. For us here in Trinidad and Tobago, hosting this year's meeting is even more significant, since it comes at a time when the International Memory of the World program of UNESCO commemorates its 20th anniversary. And we are also celebrating our 50th Golden Jubilee anniversary of our independence. As you see, I have my little pin. As well as 50 years of UNESCO's presence in the country. And I hope that UNESCO will have some things like that for us to celebrate. Your key duty at this conference will be to offer 13 nominations of documentary heritage collections for possible inscription on the Regional Memory of the World Register. And again, I cannot stress the significance of this task to our region and nations here. I just came from a meeting in Mexico Sunday morning, having spent a week in Mexico for ministers of education of Latin America and the Caribbean, ministers of education of the Americas. And we had some soul-searching issues to deal with as far as education is concerned, and the importance of health in schools, where we had a declaration as how we should proceed for health in schools in Latin America and the Caribbean. And UNESCO was there giving us the support, and all the United Nations organizations of UNESLA and UNDP, etc. So we're very happy to have the team here with us in Trinidad. It is no doubt to anyone here that our past heritage in the form of indigenous cultures, the slave and immigrant trades, and individual, national and regional figures have had a considerable impact of our countries and peoples. Simon Bolivar, the Bolivarian movement, etc., and have contributed tremendously to shaping our nations into the diverse, progressive, innovative places they are today. It is therefore imperative that we recognize these very historic years and the people who suffered for the sake of posterity during them, and indeed the ones who gave their talents, abilities, ideals, freedoms, and even, yes, even their lives to this end. These are some of the lessons of our great ancestors, of all religions and all ethnicities, of so many countries within our region, 34 in the Americas. And as we stand at the threshold of development today, our society, our leaders, our peoples, and especially our children, I have 40 million children to look after in Trinidad, and my colleague from the Minister of Education in Mexico has 34 million children to look after. And he himself was a medical doctor before he was Minister of Health, before becoming Minister of Education, and we shared a lot of common concerns, as I have been in medicine and now in education, but in education both in medicine and in the Ministry of Education. So we need a powerful, lasting reminder of these lessons For truly, if we do not know where we have come from, we simply cannot progress properly. History carries us forward. As our region moves towards a universal goal of better trade and economic cooperation, you and us, the leaders in UNESCO, are charged with the special task of forging an appreciation amongst our peoples of our shared heritage of struggle for liberty and remarkable religious, cultural, and ethnic diversity, as we are proud of in Trinidad and Tobago. We in UNESCO have the ability to achieve, if we master the necessary goodwill, a common regional society blessed with a shared culture of peace that is nourished by the ethnic, national, and local diversities that enrich our lives. It is up to us to teach our people that cultural differences should not separate us from each other, but rather cultural diversity brings a collective strength that can benefit all of humanity, where being a region of differences, English speaking and Spanish speaking and Portuguese speaking, does not make us weaker, but rather these differences remain the source of our strength of progress and the foundation of establishing ourselves as a powerful bloc of nations in this globe. More than 600 million citizens on this side of the world. As I close, I therefore appeal to the World Committee members here today to do your part to ensure that no aspect of our region's history is left unpreserved, so that the future generations will always be grounded in their rich, powerful history of struggle, determination, and achievement. It is the only way we will impart to our children that the past is not the property of historians, but rather public possession and their own legacy. It belongs to anyone who is aware of it, and it grows by being shared. It sustains the whole society, the whole region, which always needs the identity that only the past can give. We celebrate 50 years of independence, and we go back to the past 50 years. We do not choose between the past and the future. They are inseparable parts of the same river, and as such, our heritage, our culture, our values, are more importantly, our people who created those things are worth fighting for, as it is truly the only way to ensure our continued progress as nations and the region. I trust that these sacred goals will be held true and fulfilled. As you, our distinguished scholars, internationally and nationally, you meet and deliberate on the way forward. And with no further ado, let me proudly declare this conference formally opened. And I say, may God bless your deliberations and resolutions, and may we always progress in the universal language of love. Thank you. Muchas gracias.